Hey everybody, it's Ben in Beta, and I'm back with another podcast episode with Craig from Kuat. Welcome back, Craig. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going well. Thanks for having me, Ben. Appreciate it.
I'm happy to have
We're
you back on the show again. It's always great to talk with you about the current product lineup and what's coming. I love your products. You guys know that, so I'm excited to have this discussion again.
yeah, and likewise, it's great to touch base and you know have your experience and your feedback as far as uh, when we're getting products out to market. So appreciate it.
And I love, being able to give that feedback. You've got in the past, I think even some changes have been made based upon some of that feedback and stuff. So it's pretty cool to see. And today we're going to be talking about the Ibex panel kit. Plus, you have a new product we want to talk about. So stay tuned for that. We're going to tease it that there's a new product, but we'll let you know what that is after we discuss the panel kit a little bit.
Yes.
All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is the panel kit, like I said, and kind of the installation, how all that kind of stuff went. So I do have, you can see on the back of my vehicle here, I do have the panel kit and the tent is on. Now I had the panel kit installed back in December before I moved, or January actually, I think. January, right before we moved to Utah. And I didn't have the tent on at that point. The movers moved the tent, and that was partially because I had to move a lot of my stuff and I wanted to save weight in the truck. So I didn't want to leave the tent on. Plus, I couldn't have the tent on while we installed the panel kit. So we had to take it off. But installation went really, really well. And it went well because I was able to go to Rack Attack in Colorado Springs and they installed it. In fact, I helped install it. So it was kind of cool. I got to see how that process worked. And it was just awesome. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your partnerships with companies like Rack Attack while I bring up that video, but
Sure.
how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this space for the panel kit, we have incredible partners like Rack Attack, like Rack Stores, and automotive distributors that can facilitate the logistics of just getting this across the country or across North America. It's a little bit bigger of a box than maybe a bike rack or just the Ibex system itself. Um, so we do have an awesome network, and we're building that network that can get this installed locally. And so Ben, really appreciate you um, utilizing Rack Attack. They're, like I said, they're awesome partners of Kuat, and their network of stores is pretty vast across, both US and Canada.
Yeah, it's big. There's a location probably semi near to you, just about wherever you are, and they were super professional. They did an amazing job. Will, I believe, was my installer that day, and it went really smooth. It did take a lot of time, and part of that was they had never installed this kit before. This is the first one that they had installed. Mine was one of the first ones to be installed on a vehicle, I think, probably anywhere,
That's right.
outside of like testing, right? So, um, yeah, but it went pretty smooth. We ran into a few different issues while we installed it, and it was mostly just because we didn't follow the video exactly. We were like, oh, we would just do it this way, and we did a little bit of work where we put something on, and we're like, oh, actually, we were supposed to put the tape underneath there first, so then we had to take it back off again. So it took a little bit longer just because we didn't watch the video. If we would watch like 10 more seconds of the video, we were like, oh yeah, we should do that first. But it went on great, and what was
I'm
nice about
guilty
having
of that
Racket,
as well. So
yeah, 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 it happens, right? You get excited, and you're like, oh, I got this. You just put
you
this thing
do.
on, right? And we had to take the whole rack off first. So I think that's another thing too. If you get the rack system and the panel kit at the same time, it's a little bit quicker because you're not taking everything apart necessarily. The panel
Hmm.
kit's already going to come in the full height mode, and it's easier just to install everything at that point.
It
Versus mine
is.
was in the mid height; it was on the truck. We had to take everything off, turn it into the full height, so that took a lot longer.
Yeah. Well, no, I enjoyed watching the video and like you said, being getting to not only, you know, see how it all is put together, but firsthand, get in there with the tools. It I enjoy that, and so I'm sure you can then really understand, you know, reasons why certain things were designed, or maybe benefits of being able to adjust from a mid-height rack to a full height rack, and then have now a fully enclosed camper system.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit to us. My wife has been always kind of concerned from the very beginning about not being able to lock all of our stuff up on a longer trip. It's one of the reasons why we haven't done super long trips yet, because we were concerned, like, okay, we go into town for a night after several nights out, in the wilderness, and we want to do a hotel stay for the night. Is our stuff going to be safe? And now we can lock it up and keep it safe. It's also going to stay significantly cleaner. And it's important just to point out that people are wondering, it is not 100% waterproof. It's not 100% dust proof. And a lot of that just has to do, at least in my opinion, you can jump in whenever you want, but this is one of the most versatile racks on the market. And because of that, you can't have everything, right? It's not designed to be completely waterproof and completely dust proof, and that's what the designation is. It's designed to be able to be modified to
Correct.
work in many different ways. We can take like this side panel, we could take that off and put on the Molly panel on that side.
My panel.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you can't do that with
And
other systems.
you
So I think
can,
the
it just
versatility.
it
Yeah,
that's when the dollar amount just creeps up. Kuat can
right.
absolutely,
Yep.
design that. We just can't hit the metric for keeping this that very competitive do-it-all system that achieves, most weatherproofing out there. For DIYers, if you really wanted to go back through, I'm sure you can check, you can get in there with a light and start checking all your, finite spots. Um, but
Yeah, you could probably, with a little bit of effort and some extra, weather stripping or whatnot, you could probably make it really close to
mhm,
waterproof. And one of the things we did was we doubled up the tape up in the front. So up in the front section behind where I'm
oh,
at right here, we actually doubled the tape to make it to make it fit a little bit better. The corners have a little bit of space where there's some water and some dust can get in, but actually that really helped a lot. And I think the only way you could really realistically fix that is design it for every specific truck cap exactly
it
for
is.
that bed versus being something that's universal. And like you said, the cost would go way up on that.
Right. And
Yeah.
you have the fourth generation Tacoma,
Yep.
which this panel kit is one kit that spans the third generation and fourth generation. So 2016 through 2024 plus, or 2025.
Yep. Exactly. So
So,
that's one of the reasons. So people are wondering. I just wanted to get that out there because I think that's a question I get a lot. Is it completely waterproof, weatherproof? No, but when I moved, so I moved in January, and it was uh,
but it was a storm. It was storming, correct?
yeah, it was storming.
Snowing.
The roads were, and Highway 80 in the winter, you're going to get, no matter what, or 70, you're going to get weather. It's just going to happen. And so we had a lot of salt on the roads. It was wet, it was cold, and it went to warmer as I got closer to Salt Lake. So everything was melting. None of my stuff was wet. None of my stuff was dirty. Have I seen a little bit of wetness and dirt, dust if you're on a trail or something like that? Yes. But in those conditions, I didn't have anything that was dirty even a little bit. So I think that's a testament to how well the system actually does work. And on on the trails, I did one trail ride with the system. In that case, I did have a little bit of dust in the very back on my tailgate, and that was pretty much the only place there was really any dust. Again, I think it did a really good job in that
Mhm.
too.
And to that, not being completely sealed out helps positively pressurize that system, because it's not drawing air in. So there are those breathable spots that I think can further expel the dust and debris, not attract it in, maybe like other canopy systems.
Yep. And one of the things that I was thinking about was, if you didn't want to do a tent on top of this vehicle, I think if there was an accessory where you could put something over the back of your tent, and there are, right? You can buy the little tent caps that go on the back. You could reasonably sleep in there and you'd be pretty dry. And
Hmm.
I don't think that would be an issue. Like I don't, even if it was like a monsoon or something like that, you might get a little bit of water in there, but it would be very like almost nothing. Like it would be on the edges,
Right.
so you would not be
Nothing
wet at
directly
all.
over you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You would not be wet at all. There might be some moisture in
Well,
there with you, but you wouldn't be wet. So they're. I think that's interesting. I don't know if
well,
you guys have plans to develop like a rear end shell kind of accessory or something like that, but definitely I could see people being able to stay back there if they wanted to.
yeah, I'd like to see some builds.
Yeah. So installation was good. Everything has worked really well. I love the fact that I can, I love the fact that I can lock it up. So that's a
It's
big deal.
lockable. Yes.
Yep. The probably the hardest part for a DIYer will be the brake light. That would be something if you're not a if you're not experienced with some of that stuff. I think that's where Rack Attack was really helpful. They knew where to tap in. They had the tools and a way to minimize any kind of issues with that versus like I probably would have spliced the wire in half and put a wire nut in there or something like that because that's what I would have known to do. That's not what they did. They actually had a little tool that crimped into the actual light itself, and then that as a light line for the brakes, and that's worked really
Hmm.
well. So I think that's probably the hardest thing of if somebody wants to wire that up, maybe that would be the most difficult part. And you do need two people. There's not really a way, I don't think, for one person to install that unless you're pretty strong or big. Just even like the top part, it was nice to have two people to get everything to fit together.
Hmm.
So I think there's just having a friend help you out would be super smart. You could try it by yourself. I just think it would be really hard.
If you've done a if you've installed, 50 or 100 of these, you can get real good. Outside that, no, I think that leaning on
Yeah,
the installer, um, like you said, not only to know how to tap in, but you know, maybe your year, make, model is different, uh, and so yeah, they're a wealth of knowledge. So yeah, go see your
yeah,
local jobber for sure.
yeah. I agree. So yeah, we're super happy with it. I'm trying to think if there's, the only disadvantages are it is heavier, right?
Hmm.
So like for me, that's my Tacoma has 1,200 pounds of payload. I'm not sure what the full weight is of it, but it's heavier for sure by,
It
I would say
the
50 pounds or something like that at least,
Yeah, the rack, the Ibex of the you're running it's about 80, 90 pounds. Then the panel kit adds another 70-ish pounds.
Yeah. Okay. That's
I
what I
think
thought.
you have the riser kit on there, which adds a little bit extra. It's got these are solid machine knuckles that will then take the bars to be able to go up higher. So you should still be under that 200-pound threshold.
Yep. And so just a little bit heavier. Not a big deal. I think, you have a Ford Ranger or something like that that has like 1,500 pounds of payload. You're not going to really notice it at all. Tacomas at the 1,200, you might have to think about your what you're taking with you a little bit more
Mhm.
if you want to stay under your payload. But most people don't care and they just they run with whatever they're going to run anyway, so it doesn't matter. But again, not a big deal there.
Yeah, it's
Um,
all extruded aluminum. The
yeah.
doors are steel, but everything else is 6,000 series, 5,000 series aluminum, which is light and strong.
Yeah, I was really impressed by how sturdy it was because I was expecting it to be not that. I guess especially the panels, I was like, oh, these are going to be loose and they're gonna, they're not. They're solid, and you can tell that from immediately upon putting them on. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, it's good. That's good. You know, first feedback from one of, if not the few panel kit runners out there. So yeah, I love hearing that.
and then just for those people out there who are wondering, like, what about putting the tent on like we have here? So that's probably the other disadvantage is it's now a bit higher than it was before by about 3 inches. So that's the minimum you can rise. Everything is about 3 inches total, I would say, over the top of the just flat over the top of like what the panel or the Ibex exoskeleton was before. But I don't think it's a big deal. But if you were parking in a garage before and it barely fit, it's not going to fit anymore. So I think that would be probably the only downfall, I guess, of having it. And my tent is massively big at like 11 inches. If
Mm.
it were a 7 inch tent, it probably would still fit. And that's probably not a big deal. But that's depending on your setup, you might not be able to park in your garage. I still can. So not a big deal. So if you have an 8 foot garage door, you're totally fine with my setup. Again, every truck is different. If you have, a 3 inch lift and 35 or 37-inch tires, then maybe it wouldn't fit, but maybe it didn't before anyway. So
Hmm.
the last thing I would say is the riser kit. I was generally dreading putting it on because I hadn't looked at the instructions. I hadn't like none of that. And as soon as I did, I was like, oh, this is super easy. You're just replacing what was there. Like, okay, I can do this. And it took, I think, 15 minutes or something like that. A
It's
little
pretty
longer because I was filming
straightforward.
it. Yeah, didn't take long at all. So
No,
really impressed with that.
and to your
Yeah,
point, you have a few different spots that you can go over. Modern mid-sized trucks have those little shark fin antennas, so sometimes you want to make sure you can at least
clear
clear
it.
that. So if you have to set, wood or a ladder or something up on the top to go over your cab, you can. So you can really kind of tailor it to your truck and what
Yeah,
you want to clear.
yeah. So if you have a clamshell and you have to clear that, you can get up another, I think, an inch and a half, even more
Hmm.
than what I have it now. So yeah, it's definitely, again, it's customizable to your build, which is great. So super
Yes.
easy. Now that video is coming soon, so I will have that video of installing that. And I was going to do also putting the tent on top, but honestly, by the time I found my neighbors to do it, I didn't
Yeah.
have time to film it. We just got it up there, and I was like, all right, here's the after. So no big deal there. But the riser kit itself really easy to install. Any DIYer can do that.
Awesome.
Yep. Have you had any other feedback on the panel kit so far, and just how are things going, just in general with that
Sure.
overall?
Yeah, feedback has been really well received. Our first wave from sales wise sold out. We have just now received our second wave. It's nearly sold out. So if you're a customer, go into your local retailer, call Kuat. We can facilitate that. Again, it's the for the third and fourth generation Tacoma and fits into our Ibex A1 SKU. Um, as far as getting the product out into to the market, um, of course, then it turns into, oh, what about if we could adapt it with this feature or this feature? So I think that's where we're in this discovery phase now, is we're getting these further out, and their customers are interacting with them, not only for recreational gear, but just, from a fleet standpoint, or from a now cap standpoint. Here's a system that you can adapt it to your outdoor lifestyle, or carry all your gear, but from a functionality standpoint, it's now a product that you know a, the retailer or the distributor, I think is sees good opportunity in that. So it's a really neat, I think, product, and it continues to change. It continues to get even more modular, and from a design standpoint, Kuat can continue to provide products for this base system.
Yeah, and that's what's again incredible about the system. It's so highly configurable. And I think you asked me like before we started, how would you compare it to using it in the open, more of the open with molly panels and that kind of stuff. And again, I think it really just depends on what you want for a setup, because the molly panels work great for me, both in mid height, full height. The advantage of the full height is you have a little bit more space there, to get into your bed, and some of the accessories are easier to attach. You get that front molly panel with that. You get, the handle and the bottle opener and all that kind of stuff can go on with the full height. Mid height saves you some room, keeps everything a little bit lower, and you can change it out at your whim. And that, I think, is still a big deal. I really like the panel kit. I don't see us taking it off anytime soon, to be honest.
Hmm.
But we might. Maybe there will be a point where we really want it to be open on one side for whatever reason, and we can do that pretty quick and easy. So
Hmm.
that's the big advantage with this kit. It's solid, it's well built, it's easy to work with and install. It's easy to add accessories and remove them and make it what you want. So I mean, you really
I could
can't go
see a
wrong with it. Yeah.
I could see use case scenario where you get called because you have a truck, and like all truck owners do, you get that call from your family member saying, "Hey, I need some help moving."
Yep.
So in this situation, you could pretty quickly remove the very back, the roof, and the very front, and be able to load your refrigerator. You can slide the crossbars forward and you can load this truck out.
Yep.
Then you can install it back. So I could foresee truck owners um, still needing their ability to haul and really load their truck, but then have their cap when they're finished.
Yep. Yeah. And it's not something you can do with all other caps, which is
Correct.
nice.
Correct.
So
Yep.
agreed. Well, that's kind of my take on that. Rack Attack, again, awesome to work with. They did a great job installing it, and so far we're really liking the panel kit. Tent is on, so when I get back to Utah in July, pretty much any weekend from there on out, it's going to be let's get out and test it out on the trails and see how it performs. And we're excited about that because again, we can keep everything kind of closed up really quick and easy. Just throw it in the truck, close it while we're at camp, and then go from there. And like one of the other things that we did that we really liked too, and I know you guys work with, I think it's Decked for some of their accessories, and they're great. I went with the TMAT system in the back, so I can slide all my stuff out. It's kind of the 3D printed one,
Hmm.
and that's been a really game changer too. Because now when it's covered, it might be a little bit harder to get the things in the front. I can just pull everything out, my fridge, whatever, right out to the edge of my tailgate and get
Oh,
to
just on
everything.
the
And
slide.
yeah, it's
That's
so
neat.
nice. Yep. So that's a big thing too. Like just there's so many little things that you can do to just make your life a lot easier and also protect all your stuff. So I'm loving it so far.
Well,
Let's
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Nope. I was just gonna say I've got some kind of new neat product to um, share with you all.
Let's talk about that. What's coming? What do you got?
Yes. So last year at SEMA, or in the fall, November at SEMA 2024, um, Kuat announced a partnership with Diode Dynamics. So also a Missouri company based outside St. Louis, and they are on the forefront of the industry with LED lighting, high output, backlit options, pushing the industry as far as adapting and making everything seamlessly work and plug in and creating automations. So Kuat's industrial design ability, manufacturing, along with Diode's ability um, to bring lights to the market, we've come together to create a roof cab rack system for not only direct mount Toyotas, SUVs of their trucks, but also a universal system that can be mounted to your cab that incorporates some diode dynamic products.
That's awesome because Diode
Yeah,
makes really good stuff. I don't have any of their lights, but I've been on their website many times looking, thinking, maybe I could add something there. So that's amazing. Diode again, great company pairing with another great company. What kind of configurations are you looking at, or like, and then like, when you're thinking about timeline, that kind of stuff? What are you looking at there?
sure. So fitments for the third and fourth generation Tacoma, they have direct mount ports. The fifth gen Forerunner, the Land Cruiser, the new LC 250, the Lexus GX 550 line, and then universal SKUs that can just mount on your existing crossbars. Or if you so feel inclined, you can just drill right into your roof and attach it that way. We'll have some that are just industrial designed in the sense of the look and feel of the Ibex, so that newer style designed, but think in a cab rack. If you did not want the lights, we'll have just some non-lit versions in all those for all those applications. But then we'll have the lit nose that includes five of their diode. I think they're the SSC2 lights. They're pros that are amber backlit. So we'll include the
Nice.
wiring harness and everything to then plug it into the system.
That's that's awesome because again, lighting is always an important, you know, part of camp and being able to drive, being safe, especially if you have to leave at night for whatever reason, or you're after dark overlanding, off-roading, whatever that is.
Sure.
So let me
I
see
have a
here.
few
I'll just,
teaser images if you'd like to
yeah,
look.
yeah. If you want to share your screen, please do so.
Okay, let's do
I'll stop
this.
sharing mine.
Let's go here. Okay. So this gives you an idea. This is shown on, I believe that's the newer Tacoma, the 4th gen, and then of course the LC 250. But how low profile. On these Toyotas, they have direct mount. So the feet will just line up, just remove the plastic certs, mount it
Yep,
on there, click it in, and then run the wiring.
that's
Um,
awesome. Those look good.
it will look like it is original equipment and it is just had been designed for it.
Yeah, that's looking good. I'm liking that.
So, and then
Let us
like I
know in the
said,
comments as well what you guys think of the design. We'd super be interested in that. If this is something you'd be definitely adding to your vehicle going forward, and if you're excited about it, make sure you check back with Kuat for when they're released. And I know a lot of these products go pretty quick when you first release them too. So if you're looking for some of that stuff, be ready to go when it releases.
mhm. It's a different take on the roof rack as opposed to the flat style metal racks that you assemble. This is larger kind of aluminum extrusions, very similar to the Ibex, um, but incorporating slidable bars. You can add more bars, loads and loads of T-channels, but then from a lighting element, just starting to incorporate that.
That's awesome. Super exciting, like that, and just growing this lineup further and further. More accessories, different. This is just almost a different product lineup, but still fits perfectly with the Kuat, the Ibex rack. So yeah, I'm loving that. You guys keep hitting it out of the park.
No, we appreciate it.
All right. Well, I think that might do it for the episode today. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments for our next time that we get together. We can answer some of those questions if you would like us to do that. Craig's often in the comments too. So if you have any questions and I can't answer them, Craig will do that too. So he'll look at some of that stuff when this video goes live. But any last words or last thoughts before we sign off for the day, Craig?
Just I'm sure you'll tell your viewers, but mash that like button and subscribe Ben and Beta.
You just did, so I don't have to. I appreciate that very much. You made it really easy for me. But yeah, super enjoyed this partnership, and as long as it continues, I'll be happy that it does, because it's been super beneficial for me. But also, these products are just so good, and they've really helped us enjoy the outdoors more, and they've met our needs and exceeded our expectations. So I think anybody who purchases these products will probably have a similar experience as well. Yeah,
That's very kind of you. Yep, we're excited, and yeah, on Kuat side, follow us along through the summer. We have some neat product launches and drops. Of course, this deck, and then later in the summer with a e-bike, RV rated, brand new, revolutionary bike rack.
that's
We'll
awesome.
we'll
A
be
lot of
out
people
at
have
the
those.
yeah we'll
Yeah.
be out at the major overland expos. So if you can get out to one of those, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, if you want to check out the products, that's one of the best places to do it. And you get to play with it, you get to talk with people, ask questions. I highly recommend it. It's a great place to go and check those out. Whether the Overland Expos, and then there's a couple other ones as well. So get to them if you can.
Hmm.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching today. Remember, live your life in beta, and we'll see you next time.